At the end of the last video I did on panel knitting, kind of left you not knowing quite what to do with the ends. So we're just going to briefly go over that. The beginning, and this is the beginning loopy edge. If you pull that, you will see that it tightens right up, but you also see that what you're left with is just a strand of yarn holding those stitches right like that. See, it's just a straight. Well, that's ugly to me. I don't like it. If that's okay, if you want to just like do a scarf and put fringe on it or something, that might be okay. But if you want to do something else, I'm going to show you how to pick those stitches up so you can do something else with them. And it's really quite easy. Take a knitting needle. I prefer double points because then I can work from either end of the row. So all I do is just pick those up, and I managed to tighten that thread up a little bit. So it's not quite as easy. If I'd left it alone and left it loopy, I wouldn't have this problem. I'm going to go ahead and take these off, and I'm splitting my yarn to boot. I'm going to go ahead and take these off and come back. I'm at the end. This is the last stitch, and I just want you to see that you pick up this right here and then pull the last of your tail yarn back, and that'll finish it up. And that's how you unknit that loose ravelly thing. Now, to me, that takes more time than using waste yarn, which is why I like to use waste yarn. But if you do start out that way, just know that you can do this. You can unknit it, but it's just a little bit more time consuming. Okay. I'm back at the top where I put the waste yarn on. I want to show you how to remount your stitches so that they're not too terribly twisted. It kind of confused me at first. Notice how this stitch right here goes up through that there and comes down. What you want to do is to get into the back of that stitch like that. You'll skip the other leg of that stitch, go into the next one. All the way across. All the way across. Like that. And I'll come back in just a minute. It can get a little, you can lose your place. Just remember you're coming under, over that leg, under, over, under, over, under, over. That's why I just keep saying in my head as I go along. And you can do it pretty fast once you get used to the rhythm of it. Back in a minute. Coming to the end of this row, going into the back of the stitches. Now this last one's right here. And sometimes that gets tucked down there. Just kind of pull up on your waste yarn to open it up if you need to. And you know you've done right if you end up with that stitch right there as your last stitch. And then you can go ahead and take out the Ravel yarn, or the waste yarn, which is at this end, coming up on the last row. You want to kind of take it slow. Make sure that you actually have got your stitches on there, and they are. And you just pull it. Now I've got a Misky Bird stitch over here, but it looks like I picked it up okay right there. Something happened, but it's okay. It'll work fine. And waste yarn is out, and your stitches are on needle of some sort. I have a second panel that I started with waste yarn, and I put a row of what we call Ravel cord. Since the yarn ends are at this end and the end that starts your main yarn, it's not easy to unravel. So if you put a row, in this case it's just a row of crochet cotton, it's kind of smoother than regular yarn and pulls out better. But I'm just going to take the stitches off exactly as I did before, coming in at the back of that stitch, all the way across. Back in a minute. Coming to the end of the row, back behind. You know you're right when you're coming in behind that last stitch, just like you're supposed to. Okay, all of them are on. Now notice the Ravel cord here. You don't want to see any of this pink, well in this case pink, wrapped around your main yarn. The only problem I see is right here, the Ravel cord did not pick up the stitch, so the green is knitted in, which won't be a problem. It'll fall off, but that's what it should look like. And now we're going to pull the Ravel cord, and this other should just fall away. Huh. Right. That happens. What I'm going to have to do, because this isn't really Ravel cord is a very smooth nylon cord used in machine knitting for this process, and what I'm going to do is just take it out in short sections, and then this knitting will fall away. Note on the Ravel cord, I did find my real Ravel cord, nice, strong, smooth stuff. I get it from Leanne at knittingtoday.com. is my source. I'm sure there are other places that you can get it, but she was list mom on the original Bond group way back winging, and I just like patronizing her. No affiliation, just a customer. And the last note on waste yarn, they call it waste yarn, but if I had waste yarn on here and I just cut it off, I would leave fuzzies on my main yarn. And since we've told to use contrasting so that you can see it well, it leaves all these contrasting fuzzy yarns. So I don't cut it. I either unravel it or use Ravel cord. Once you have your needles filled up with your stitches, or your stitches on your needles, now you can do something with it. You can do ribbing or garter stitch or just a regular bind off. You do crochet bind off. Something anybody can do is this stretchy bind off. I call it 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And you want your tail at the end is right here. You want a length of yarn at least 3 times the width of your panel, and you just go 2 steps this way, and 1 step back. Slide that 1 off. So we're going to come 2 forward, and then 1 back, and that 1 back then slides off the needle. Really like this. You do this after you get your panels sewn up, because you might need to adjust the length of your panel. So I would leave at least one end open to make that adjustment, and just go all the way to the end, and it makes a very nice stretchy bind off. Coming to the end, 2 steps forward, one step back, slide that off, slide them both off, and you have a nice stretchy bind off. So many times this does not look right, but this one does. I really like this bind off. Enjoy.